Good afternoon, my name is Rodolfo. This is Jare to Jare. On this week's episode, the Jareds will discuss Martin Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon, Gordon Ramsay, the Book of Enoch, building the first Galactic observatory, and much more. Señors, let's get this started.
So, how are you?
I'm a little bit frustrated. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I can tell.
Yeah. Maybe it's just from that terrible movie we just sat through for 4 hours.
Yeah, it's a long ass movie.
That was so long. I had to move seats mid-movie. Actually,
yeah, I know.
I went and got like 2 ottomans at the bottom and put them in front of me. I was like, I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm taking a nap.
You did fall asleep, right?
I didn't actually. I tried.
Okay. I thought I heard you like snore for a minute.
Well, I kept like a couple times, like it would like intrigue me. I'd be like, oh, cool, death scene. And then it'd be like 2 seconds and be like, okay, back to nothing. Or back to a new character that it's going to have absolutely zero development.
Yeah, it was vaguely intriguing. I feel like Killers of the Flower Moon, here's the review. Vaguely intriguing. Good job, Scorsese.
This is what you're reduced to. It's something that starts with vaguely.
All right, well, let's get into it, though.
Let's get into it.
Yeah, okay. Well, all right. Let's start there. Why was it just vaguely intriguing? Why was it? Because I feel like there was a lot of buildup around it, right? All-star cast. Brendan Fraser was in it. Best part of the entire movie.
He was the best part. That was the greatest surprise of the whole movie. They should have given him more lines.
Yeah.
It should have just been about Brendan Fraser is what it should have been about. Yeah. Better call Fraser. Well, you brought up a good point is none of the characters have any depth. You know, we meet all kinds of different characters. None to which have a backstory or many lines. Yeah. They have like one scene.
Yeah.
And then they're either dead or like just in the background. They could be an extra.
Right.
But most importantly, a lot of movies make that mistake, is the main characters. There's no background. Like you're saying, Leo, they could have got into his war trauma.
Yeah. His
other family.
Right.
How he got to his uncle. De Niro had no background. Like.
Yeah.
How did he make his money? Why the hell is he in Oklahoma? Why is he so sinister? Blah, blah, blah.
Why is he so sinister?
We should have seen a scene of him as like Matthew McConaughey as like, 33 years old, like, murdering Osage or something.
Yeah, just like anything
to build a character, you know?
Yeah, very flat characterization. And I was saying this before, but I want to get it on the pod too. It did feel like all of these just like super short vignettes that were just cobbled together because I think they were just trying to take, it's a huge story. I mean, the historical story, there's so many moving pieces and different people involved. And I think they were trying to just like cover too much ground.
Right.
And spread themselves too thin.
Yeah. Well, the book, it took the guy who wrote the book like 10 years to compile that research and information. There you go.
Yeah.
To put that into it, and the book apparently is intriguing, and it's good because it's not a fictional account really. It's a non-fictional, based, and a lot of the stories are interviews he had from the actual Osage,
right.
But apparently, it's not like an exciting read, but it's not supposed to be. He's not an author, he's just research.
He's a historian. Like
a rich dude who was like bored. I saw him on yet again CBS and he wanted to do this project.
So he wasn't like a historian or something.
No,
he was just like a dude man of leisure who decided to write a book.
Was like, that's really cool. And like figured out about this fucked up shit that happened and was started researching and was like, whoa, this goes deep.
Yeah, just like how come no one knows about this?
That's what the movie should have been about. He just got into it, and visited the Osage, like put a bunch of time and energy into it, just whatever. But again, maybe there was too much to fit in, but then it was almost 4 hours long. It was too long too.
Yeah, right.
What they put into it was not good. Like my students, right? They're like, can I write more pages or can I do more for the abstract? It's like, no, because the skill, the test is writing in a short space.
Right. Yeah.
And what are you going to choose that's going to fill that space? That's going to be exciting. What are you going to leave out? You know, it's those decisions as an author that make a paper good. I don't care if you can write 15 pages. I want to see if you can write 7 good pages. That's harder than writing 15 pages sometimes.
Right,
you know?
right. Yeah.
So Scorsese lost it.
Scorsese's lost it. Yeah.
Would you say it was a proper representation of what happened during the Osage, you know, with the Osage?
I haven't gone deep into that. I mean, honestly, I just listened to one podcast episode, History on Fire, about it. And it sounds, at least according to that guy, and he's like a legit history professor, it sounds like it's pretty accurate historically, at least. So that's good. But again, I didn't, read the book yet.
Not necessarily the historical accuracy, because I don't know anything about it either than CBS Sunday Morning. But the depiction of said events.
Yeah.
You know, because we see Tulsa or documentary on like Gattaca or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Attica. There's how was it approached, right? Would you say it's like, woke or is it like, properly?
So now we're getting into kind of like
properly depict tragedy that happens from a different, somebody of another race. Because this came from also, freaking New York City white dude, Martin Scorsese too, right? So
right, yeah. And that's the question. Yeah, I was asking earlier, like, is Martin Scorsese, or at least the way the movie was done, is the movie in touch or out of touch with our kind of like racial, ethnic realities that we're hopefully coming to terms with in 2020's America? I mean, this history happened 100 years ago, which actually isn't even that long if you think of historical spans. So I don't know. I can't say. I don't know if I'm the one to say. Like, watching it felt. Well, I mean, a lot of the characters who were flat. Well, all of them were flat, so I don't know if this is a good argument, but
except for Brendan.
Yeah, except for Brendan Fraser.
But that was all on his own doing. Yeah. That had nothing to do with Scorsese.
Well, that's the weird thing, actually. I feel like when people try to make a sort of like woke commentary in a film, they end up making kind of all of the characters flat. The white ones, the brown ones, the black ones, like everyone just becomes sort of like this a representation of their race, and that's it, kind of,
right?
You know what I mean? Where it's like, okay, like you have all these like hyper nefarious white dudes, right, who are like literally in a dark room smoking cigars, like planning murders, right? Which is apparently how it happens, so that's accurate. Sure. But then you have like you're saying, Molly, the wife of Leo in the film, who's Osage, she's just fucking crying the entire movie, and the one moment where it's like there's
pissed me off the most.
There's a lot of room to flesh out her character and her story. She, in the midst of an illness, she goes to Washington by train, which was not an easy visit. Like, makes this
getting drugged
heroic she's getting drugged by her husband unwittingly, right? And then she pushes past her sickness to go to Washington and alert the federal government around what's going on the reservation and all that. Super, super, super heroic. And that's like a 30-second clip in the movie, right? And like, so yeah, I mean, she wasn't like a deeply fleshed out character either, right? So I mean, everyone is kind of flattened. So I don't know, is it trying too hard to be woke? Maybe, I mean,
they just like that's what makes it unwoke, or that's what makes it, borderline racist to me. It's a lot of times liberalism goes so far to the right is that you're racist, you go left, you're freaking, you do the exact same evil that you're supposedly supposed to fight against, Washington Redskins are getting sued by like tribal lawyers for, changing the name to the Commanders,
right,
and taking away the logo that was made by a famous, Native American artist, all this stuff, right? So Killers of the Flower Moon, they go to the Osage people. They use actors that have never acted in like Osage, you know.
Yeah.
But they're the way they're built is fucking. They're built into like what am I thinking? Not categories, but like stereotypes, right?
Right. Yeah. There's
They're
like
built into
caricatures.
stereotypes.
Yeah.
Like, the scene with freaking Leo when they're first dating, he tells her that he likes to sleep. I tell you what, that money looks pretty good, you know.
Bro, that was weird. Like, how
Party
come?
at night, sleep during the day. I tell you what.
Yeah.
And then she's like, I have whiskey. It's like,
Yeah.
dude, you're supposed to be like
He was
talking to
super
the
upfront
president,
about being a
you
piece of
have
shit.
money,
Yeah.
you're good, like supposedly strong and powerful, and then he says I'm a piece of shit, and she's like, cool.
He literally
drink some
says, I'm
whiskey
lazy
together."
and I want you for your money. And then she's just
Right.
like, word, that's cool.
She's like, cool, sounds good. I love your eyes.
Yeah, I love your eyes. Yeah.
Which I say
So
that's
weird.
the only thing the movie did tap into is millennial lazy freaking, and that's what you know. You said the movie isn't really commentating on 100 years ago.
Right,
It's
yeah.
commentating on 2023.
Yeah, definitely.
And one of the biggest epidemics we have is lazy succubus men who, like, you know, professional women, they're like paying all the bills. These guys are just like playing Call of Duty at their house all day long.
Yeah.
No job, freaking jerking up. Like, one thing it did hit was lazy moocher men to me. And it, like, that scene where it was like, they're talking about them and the guy's like, yeah, I employ these guys. Like, most of them don't even pretend to work. And it shows them partying in the saloon.
Yeah, they're all
know?
these like weird party boys, like turn of the 20th century party boys. Yeah.
But to wrap that all together, all the girl's there for is to like cry and like not acknowledge that her husband and his uncle are clearly killing her family.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then that weird dichotomy with that Billy guy marrying the younger sister. You know, anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, again, there's just it was a lot of vignettes cobbled together. There's so many moments, or like the Indian FBI agent, who comes in, right?
John, yeah.
And like that dude's story could have had like,
that dude was awesome.
yeah. I mean, he could have been like the star of his own series, right? But like he had like 3 lines, right?
Right.
Dude looked awesome. Like, so.
You know what was awesome was the FBI.
Yeah, the FBI crushed it in this movie.
Fucking let's go, America.
Yeah, the federal government was the hero in this movie, which is
for sure
kind of hilarious.
Hoover's boys.
Yeah, Hoover's boys.
And then that dude's tie with the ring, that was incredible. I need to do that.
Oh,
Did you notice
that was
it
cool.
was just like a scarf with a ring on it, like a little scarf, and it made into a tie.
I'm surprised you're not wearing that right now.
That's true. Yeah. That's true.
Bro, let's go get some of those.
We need. I'm with Amazon. And then the ending too of just like, and then she died and nobody said anything about the murders. And freaking, you know, we have this like, I liked that they showed that because I think that those stage dramas and like radio dramas are fucking really cool. Like, it's cool how they do that.
Yeah.
But that was totally like on a, look how it's made, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't like it because of like it fit
didn't
into the movie.
No, yeah. It was like a cool it was as a cinephile, it was like, oh, that's neat. I like that.
Exactly.
But then it was just like, what the fuck does this have to do with like anything right now?
Well, why am I caring about how they make radio dramas?
Yeah, and then Martin Scorsese comes out and like reads the obituary from Molly,
like
and it was just like
suit. I'm like,
yeah, it was really weird.
And then all the dudes that were doing the radio thing were white dudes. And then one of them does like the Indian voice, and maybe that fits in, I guess.
I don't know, man. Yeah, it was.
So they're still some telling the history now.
And
like,
you
know what I mean?
I don't know. It didn't make sense. Can it make the point again that you made about like the tone of the movie? How it read like a fucking Mo, Larry, and Curly for a little bit.
It was like the Three Stooges, or like Or like, what are just like really slapsticky, goofy, like bad taste, like just like
those scenes where like Uncle Bill, Robert De Niro's character, he's like pulling Leo's character on the ear and being like, why yada.
Right.
It's like, what the?
I'm telling you to calm down.
Yeah.
You knucklehead.
Boing.
And
like,
then,
the tone was off, you know?
When the scene, when they like, he picks him up with like his silly goggles on, and they're at night, like, I swear to God, I told him to leave the gun there. Why yada, did you tell him? Freaking barrel.
If I told you once, I told you a million times.
Or like one of those like really bad like Steve Martin 80s comedies or something where they're both detectives. Yeah, it was like two like goofy like comedy dudes like trying to like, instead of rob a bank, they're actually killing Osage. So it's like really dark weird, and inappropriate, like tacky.
Right.
And, you know, like the Fran, I keep bringing up Fran Lebowitz because Scorsese made this like Netflix documentary with her, and like SNL made fun of it because the whole time he's just laughing the whole time. He's like, can you believe this? And she's like, oh, fuck these people, you know, just like old, like hilarious New York chick. Yeah. But like, I think that's him now. And like, I think
he's like
that
90 years old,
into a very serious and like,
you
know, sad topic. So like,
it's like they lost track of what they were doing.
Yeah, that whole tone was wrong for me. Yeah.
And you said earlier, like the dialogue, there's just no like really solid lines, you know, like like one of those lines that just like really just shift how you're thinking about the whole issue or something like that. Just really poignant, dialogue. Like that just didn't come through, you know.
Honestly, and then stupid things like they post up Leo and Robert De Niro like right next to each other in the jail, like later on.
Shit like that. It's just like, why would they be like right next to each other?
Know what the fuck we're talking about.
Yeah, go see it.
It's like, why would they put them right next to each other? And like talking to each other.
Yeah,
and then
or like the FBI at one point, like one of the henchmen like is, you know, everyone's getting like caught up with the FBI, and then Leo's character is like can I have a word with him? Like one of the henchmen for like a minute, and then the FBI is just like, oh, word, like sure, and just like leaves the room so like and Leo can just like privately talk with like. It made no sense.
It made no sense. And it wasn't to show that, like, oh, look, the FBI is racist, too. They're
no, it was just like
bad
writing. No, it just like made no sense.
They literally just threw it in there so they could have Leo screaming again, yelling all with his fucking
Leo all coked out,
brow all coked out and fat.
Bro, why is Leo's brow so furrowed?
He's what is the bender, that? Man. He can't act anymore. I'm sorry. It's not like he's so coked out.
He just acts with his furrowed brow.
He goes to like fucking clubs in Vegas and stuff. Like the guy's fucking. It's like, dude, you're like
he's
48 years old. Like, go sober like Robert Downey Jr. and like go get a job for the MCU or something. You can't like
go get a job for the MCU.
You had your time. You know, now he's just like fat, partying, coked out, and like still kind of Leo, but now you can't even.
I mean, he's an incredible actor still, but there's just like a lot of him is just like moments of him like freaking out.
Yeah,
and it's kind of like it's almost like too much. Like, bro, it's like
it was like Ben Stiller in the 2000s. It's like freaking, and then every movie had Ben Stiller freaking out, and it's like
and that was like Ben Stiller comedies
like, aren't very funny anymore.
Yeah.
And that's freaking that's Leo. It's just like, and then Robert De Niro is Meet the Fockers. You know,
he was more Meet the Fockers Robert De Niro than he was like Casino Robert De Niro.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
We needed Casino Robert De Niro.
We needed Casino Robert.
That's it, dude. That's it. Because I was thinking, we don't want Raging Bull Robert De Niro. We don't want Goodfellas Robert De Niro.
Yeah.
Casino, because he's still trying to be like a good guy, kind of, you know, and like, you know, put on this face.
Yeah.
But he's sinister behind the scenes.
Yeah. You know what, too? It's like, I mean, this movie was made by New Yorkers, which is actually like, I feel like we almost forget in America because we're becoming like a monoculture because of the internet and stuff. But it's like, there is still like regional differences, which is cool. That's like, I like that you can go to the Northeast and it's something that's palpably different from the Southwest, right? And you're asking a bunch of like lower Manhattan, New York guys, essentially, who make like Casino and Goodfellas, to come to the Southwest, Midwest, and like make a, you know, like Native American history movie. And it's like,
man, you're just, yes.
And it's like, so it's just the flavor, the flavor is just off, you know? It's like, you know,
it's like, there's this.
And that's not even, sorry to cut you off, but that's not even to say that, like, you know, Scorsese shouldn't be touching Native American history or something. Not like that. It's just like a regional thing. That's like the flavor's off.
Well, there's like this New Mexican Italian restaurant that, you know, it's busy. You know, people go, I don't like it here in town. You know?
It's kind of weird,
like,
right? Yeah.
It's not, it doesn't.
Spaghetti Western.
Like they have like green chili chicken, like lasagna.
Yeah, it's like not an Italian.
Like it's kitschy, like, you know what I mean?
Right. Mm-hmm.
But it's not freaking rustica antipasta, you know? It's not, like there's like 47 things on the menu, and one time I saw them like open up one of their bottom drawers to their oven, and all the spaghetti noodles were down there. And the guy just like got a bunch of spaghetti noodles and like kicked the drawer back, and I was like, no,
it's like,
God,
dude,
no.
Yeah.
It's like mice living in there or something. Who the hell knows, man? I've been watching.
You're off restaurants, dude.
I'm off.
Yeah,
I'm off.
Yeah.
Kitchen nightmares, man.
That's too bad, because
smell it.
I like restaurants.
The chicken's frothing and it's fucking dead.
What is this? Who is this?
Oh, dude. Gordon Ramsay.
Okay, cool.
Dalton told me I've been watching too much Gordon Ramsay. Though.
Yeah,
I need to stop. I've been yelling, smell.
Bro, it is true though. I mean, it is like you have no idea. Like when you go to a restaurant,
and nobody
like
checks on these people.
It's
fucked up, man, and we get sick all the time.
Yeah, like, even just energetically, like dudes like coked out in the back, which is true. I mean, like kitchen culture is like a weird thing, but it's like you have some dude who's like on fucking speed, like putting together your stuff. It's like just energetically,
or even like most of them are just like alcoholic dudes that party. They're a bunch of Leos.
They're a bunch of Leos,
and
bro.
They don't like, bro. I was friends with these guys in my 20s when I was in bands. They don't wash their hands and shit. Like I would never like eat something from them, and they like supposedly work at like really expensive restaurants downtown Santa Fe. You know? Fuck that.
I mean, it is great food. I don't even care. Yeah, there's still good food.
Care.
But, okay, fine.
I'm off. I'm completely off. I'm gonna learn. I'm a pretty great cook as it is. I want to like bump it up, you know.
Yeah.
And like people,
bump it up,
like
bro.
Restaurants with all kinds of things on the menu and stuff. It's rotting back there, man. It is rotting. There was like one restaurant, 74 degree refrigerator. 74 degrees is like a sauna.
Yeah, but this is Gordon Ramsay's like trying to find the shittiest restaurants, right? This is like it's not like...
I mean, I'm sure there's something to that, but nonetheless, though, you're telling me it's not happening, though? It happens a lot.
I like it better when you watch Bourdain. Because then it's like, oh, bro, let's like go out to eat and like we'll get some wine. It'll be so good. Like,
shut it down.
I don't like this. I don't like Gordon Ramsay, Jared. This sucks.
I'm gonna shut it down. I'm shutting this pod down.
No,
smell it.
Oh, this sucks. All right, whatever.
Okay.
Freaking.
But also there's a funny before we get off of Killers, there's a funny
I have a couple more things about Killers.
There's a funny joke that you had brought up too that we were laughing about. Now I can't think of it because Gordon Ramsay's screaming in my head right now. So go ahead. All
right, one thing that comes to mind, dark turn here, right? Okay, one criticism I've heard of American literature, storytelling, film, TV, all that, is that it really delights, generally speaking, in mangling and mutilating minorities' bodies.
Right.
I mean, that's like a thing in media, maybe less so now, hopefully less so, but like, it's always like in horror films and, older days, like black dude's always the first one to get killed by the slasher, like whatever, right? And all this, or... Is that happening too in Killers of the Flower Moon, where like there is some sort of like watching a car wreck kind of dark American pleasure in seeing, I can't even say because it's so fucked up, but like, the mangled bodies of these women in this movie, because you don't see the brutalated bodies of anyone else. It's all Native women in the movie whose bodies are getting mutilated, and historically that's what happened. So you know, you need to be upfront with the history. Right. But is there some sort of like darkness there that can situate the movie with that in with that criticism? You know.
Right. Well, there's a scholar that talks about that actually, and it's sort of like a gore capitalism, you know, where
gore capitalism.
You're making money off of the mutilation of the bodies, but then there's a really, I wish I remembered what her name was, but this black scholar who talks about how the slavery films, those were made as a way to like, yes, people are like getting off sort of on the mutilation of the body. Yeah. And then the white guy is always the main character, not the protagonist. The main character. Yeah. He's either the one inflicting the pain or making the story move, right? He's the mover of the story. Yeah. And that's one thing Killers of the Flower Moon.
Dude,
the women
maybe
never
that's it.
Moved the story at all. It was just
it was Leo-centric. What if they made that movie? Yeah, what if they made that movie from Molly's perspective, where she's the main character, right? I mean, that would be a very different film.
See, that would be a Southwest film.
That would be a Southwest film.
I love what you said earlier too about just like to be of the place, to have the flavor, you know, and like the Southwest film, we would have focused in on John, the native cop who came in, his investigation,
and that why was that dude working for the FBI? That's so interesting, you know, in the 1920s. Like, wow,
Sarah's perspective from her and the tribal leaders more so, you know, and they would have been the fucking characters, not fucking coked out Leo,
Meet the
Fockers,
and Meet the Fockers to Nero, But bro, I want to explore that point about the gore capitalism thing, because I remember Finney Coleman in African American Lit, UNM, was pretty much talking about that with what's the name of the movie? Dude in Chicago kills that rich chick, cuts her head off. Oh my god,
Native Son.
Native Son, yeah. Thank you. But I remember Finney saying, like, in Native Son, like there's like a scene like towards the end or whatever where they're in the courtroom, and then they like bring out the body of like one of the black women that Bigger Thomas, was that his name?
Bigger, yeah,
that Bigger kills. And then the way that scene is framed is like there's that gore capital around this character's body, you know, but then you never see that happen with like, you know, with the white characters who are killed, that their bodies are disposed of like more respectfully or whatever. Right. Well, that's not true, because Bigger throws her in a fire pit. Right. But that book's so fucking crazy.
Chops her up and puts her in the furnace.
Yeah, that one's pretty bad.
But that was written by Richard Wright, though. You know,
right.
It wasn't written by, you know,
John
Leibowitz.
Fran Leibowitz.
And you know, just the exploitation. Here's one thing I want to talk about is the truth behind what happened. Man, it's so fucked up, right? And this is also where the joke, like, we're kind of laughing, is just like, how fucked up are these dudes? Yeah. These racist dudes are like, not only are we going to go, like, start killing, like, Osage, it was in the way that they did it. They, like, learned their language, like, years, just like, I got a plan, guys.
Yeah, it's like, go fucking rob a bank. Like
5 years to learn their language, and then, like, spiffy yourself up, get these girls to actually like you and want to marry you. Like, this is like a 15-year, 20-year
It's a long project,
plan.
bro. It's a long project. And it's like, why didn't you just do fucking anything else?
Right.
It's so weird. Like, what the fuck
why?
is
that? Did you have a hobby? Like, what happened to like picking up the old like harp, you know, and singing at the pub? I thought you wanted to do.
But I mean, these guys are curious or obviously psychotic, right? Clearly psychotic because they're Cortez guys,
which is often driven by money, you know, and the greed.
Well, money just becomes like another tool in their toolbox, you know, the psychopath's toolbox.
But it's not all about money. They're like,
no, they're getting off on the
It's sick.
Yeah.
It's fucking wild.
It is wild. And I don't have anything to say about it. It's fucking wild.
I just want to address, just how fucked up those people are. And it's like, you know, from like our perspective, it's like, my God,
Yeah.
Just like we were saying, something
Another
better
vignette.
To do? My God.
Another kind of vignette in the movie. So they had the native dude who was melancholic. They kept calling it. He was suffering from melancholia. So they wanted to, you know, make it look like he killed himself, right? Oh, like the alcoholic, melancholic Indian dude.
Yeah, that's like getting manipulated by the smart white guy.
Right.
And then like the tragic Indian women and the like.
Yeah.
Really manipulated, you know, Colonel Sanders guy. Everything was a freaking stereotype, man.
Right.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of nuance though in that moment because they had the melancholic guy and then the guy who's hired to kill him, right?
Right.
And they end up hanging out and becoming friends for like 6 months.
I like that. I like that. Yeah.
And it's very subtle. They actually probably could have played it out more. But the reason that the guy ends up shooting him in the back of the head instead of the front was because they were friends. It was such a fucked up environment and time and everything.
Right. Yes.
At least the way they depict it in the movie, he couldn't.
Yeah,
he couldn't shoot his friend in the face, so he had to do it. He had to get wasted and then do it in the back of the head, and was upset about it.
And there was something smart about that guy. He knew what he was doing. That's why he went and gave Leo the gun too. Yeah. I swear to God, I told him shoot him back of the head. Whapping. Boing.
For real, man. That scene is so dumb.
Oh man, dude.
Yeah.
Or like one of those like really quirky British like spy movies, you know, starring.
Yeah.
Who's that really famous like 1950s British comedian? Anyways.
Oh my God! What's his name? The guy who's in Pink Panther guy. Pink Panther.
Yeah, the Pink Panther guy. Yeah.
What the hell's that guy's name?
This is gonna bother me so much. Peter
O'Toole?
No, Peter.
It is Peter something.
Is it O'Toole?
Maybe.
I think O'Toole might be somebody else.
Yeah. I feel like it is Peter something. Man. All right. Well, what are some pros from Killers of the Flower Moon?
Pros are a lot of people got to know the story. You know, whether it was told right or wrong. Mm-hmm. I didn't know about the Osage and oil and them getting over 100 of them murdered by some crazy KFC Colonel Sanders white guy.
Yeah.
And, you know, it shows this politics is systemic racism where the cops wouldn't do anything about it. The priests wouldn't do anything about it. You know.
Bro, one thing that comes to mind, though, too, is like there's a moment, I think it's the... someone in like the Osage tribe in the film, one of the like chiefs or the mother, someone like, you know, higher up or whatever, they said something, oh, is that dude, they're having a meeting and they're like in the Kiva or whatever. And like the one dude's kind of making a speech about how like we should have never gotten involved with the oil money in the first place. Where he essentially goes like, we tried playing their system. We tried playing their game, and sure, it's gotten us some money, but it's inherently evil. It's inherent garbage. And now we're seeing the other shoe is dropping because we got involved with this game.
Right.
You know, which was like fascinating. Cause I mean, that is like, unfortunately, I think, you know, it's like, money sucks. I don't know. It sucks that there's just this like, we need to just fucking claw our way to just like pay rent. It's like, holy shit, you know? So it's like, it's a lot. It's kind of crazy. But I thought that was a really fascinating commentary on the system itself. And it's like kind of like, you know, integration into, I don't know, white culture or whatever, where it's like, you can play that game in order to, you know, enjoy the resources and benefits of it and wear your fur coat and shit like that. But is there something inherently icky about the game itself, you know? Right.
And that's not to say that if you make money, it's okay for fucking racist white dudes to murder you.
Well, right.
But it is going to say that a commentary on mo money, mo problems, right? Greed and Western civilization came and brought all this wealth. Well, with it, it brought predators and snakes, you know, coyotes and snakes and shit. Yeah. And Leo was a snake, you know, and again, that goes, commentating on 2023.
Yeah.
The stock market, freaking retail trading now, people going huge debt with college, whatever it is.
Yeah, all the snake-like venomous parts of the system we live in, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, it is predatory, so much of it,
Right.
Yeah.
And then, we fall into these traps where we think oh man, I made few $100 here, an extra $100 there, and it's just like, well, what are you giving up?
Yeah, and that's the exchange, right? Yeah. That's not to say, I mean, if someone's making good money on something, that's fantastic. That's wonderful.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like you said, it doesn't mean that,
disclaimer, that doesn't mean if you are successful, you deserve to be
because that's a false dichotomy too, right? Being like success, the system is evil, therefore success is evil. Like, no, if you can, carve out something good for yourself here and like kill it, that's hell yeah. That's wonderful.
Wealth isn't meant for evil people. Like it should be meant for good people and for the masses.
Some people do wonderful things with wealth too, but
it just missed the boat for me ultimately. My final. Just the final. I'm glad we closed this strand of time too.
Yeah, we had to close the strand of time.
That was a weird cutoff,
Yeah.
New England folktales.
Yeah, we left the pod like we're 3 weeks ago, month ago. Never got to
we'll
it.
Be right back, guys. This is fucking never happened.
Never got to it.
We're closing the loop. Somewhat of a movie that night ourselves, but here we are now, disappointed and
with vaguely intrigued,
tailbone.
Yeah,
vaguely intrigued.
Yeah, I will say the way it was shot. I mean, like Scorsese as a director does have so much, like fucking 50 years of experience.
Oh,
it's
sure,
like,
there were
the way it's
scenes,
shot was was beautiful, and then they do a good job playing with language where, because they're speaking during scenes like the Osage language, right? And in some scenes it has subtitles, in other scenes it doesn't, and it keeps doing this thing where you're kind of like sometimes you're in, sometimes you're out.
Exactly, yeah.
And I feel like that was actually a pretty
we have
useful
to
thing,
gauge the language through body emotion.
Yeah,
and this kind of goes through like I've really been meditating on like sign language and like because I've been trying to teach it to like ASL students writing in English and the way that just language in general is interpreted when you can't hear it. It's quite different.
Interesting.
See, sentences different. You see, but you can actually know and sense and feel what's happening in a conversation, even if you don't know what's actually being said, just by saying Leo's furrowed brow, he's not very happy about this.
Yeah, that is funny. That dude, just even when he's not acting it, I think his eyebrows are just locked in that position. Like he just has this like intensity in his face,
so much
right?
Coke, dude.
So much coke. Yeah, coked out Leo. Well, another pro too, like the cinematography, the way that was shot. I mean, there are moments that's just like beautiful shots of the character Molly and her daughter like singing prayers as the sun is coming up, and whenever there were those kind of nature shots, the human beings were always kind of like in the bottom left corner or something like that, and then most of the shot was just like the vast open spaces or the woods and the sunrise, and I thought that was kind of cool too that they were including the landscape in that way,
right. Oh, beautiful cinematography. Even that scene where like the fire's going on outside and the drapes are there and the like weird shadows going on.
Yeah,
the,
totally.
Like,
yeah, definitely. That was cool. That was really cool. Yeah.
But would you say this is pretty much putting an end to like him and De Niro's collaboration together?
No, I don't. I mean, they're old as shit. I don't know. I mean, okay, you know how like Jane Fonda and some of those old chicks always do, they do these like, I don't know what to call them. They're just these like old lady comedies. Like there's one where they're like trying to meet fucking Tom Brady or something. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like this crew of like 4 or 5. Yeah. It's this crew of like 4 or 5 just like actresses who were like hot in the 60s or something, who are like now doing these like old people comedies.
Right.
I could see Scorsese just like doing no longer, mainstream sort of like doing old people shit. I don't know.
Terrible picture for the end of his career. This is
I don't know, man.
This is why I've never
know.
argued with freaking Kill Bill Tarantino's decision to quit. Like he's gonna make one more movie and he's gonna be done.
Yeah, that's cool. Huh.
And I'm totally with him. It's like, dude, stop. Like, in fact, your last one was okay. Like,
Yeah.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it was not my favorite,
Yeah, it's a weird thing, man. Or go ahead.
I don't know. That's pretty much it. Like, I think there's a point in which we should stop,
No, you're stopping. Agreed, yeah.
Or don't stop, but just acknowledge that you're not good anymore. Like, not like you used to be. Like, I think our brains just get like nostalgic or something. I don't know what it is.
Well, you also get locked into a form, right? Where it's like, even like the Rolling Stones or some shit. It's like those guys like wouldn't know what to do otherwise, which is okay. Right. That's a wonderful thing. Like keep playing music, keep making films. Sure. That's actually really cool.
Right.
But like, I think they're just like, how long has Scorsese, again, like 50 years or something? The dude's been making movies. What else would he do?
Back to CBS Sunday Morning. The Stones were on the other day.
How funny.
And they're like, the first album released in over 20 years. Yeah. And it was like, cool. That sounds like the Stones, like from
Yeah.
And it was like that album will never be played on the radio.
Yeah.
Not one Gen X or Z or one Gen Zer will ever give a fuck or even know about that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's like, cool, you guys released an album, but you're not, you sell out your stadium still because of freaking, Deal with the Devil and songs like that. Freaking, I don't know. Not because of your new work, it's not like you're winning awards with like the new album by the Rolling Stones,
Yeah. So when Jared to Jared gets like really big, right? When we have like, fucking 100,000 listeners, right? We're crushing it,
a few million,
making ethical money and, like all that, right? We're gonna go out on top, right? We're gonna get to episode like 942 or something, and then just be like, "Hey, man, like we're getting kind of old. Like we've done our thing, we're good, but this project is just like we've been saying the same shit over and over again for like 20 years. Let's move on to new projects." Is that gonna,
I would say so. I mean.
It'll be funny to like look back.
At one point, the conversation will end eventually. The Jared to Jared combo for the pod,
Yeah.
Oh, the friendship will always last, but that would be funny. The last time we ever hang out, all right, we said it all.
We said it all, man. We just like we sit down to record one more, and we're just like, I don't know what to say. It's over. It's done.
I guess see you, man.
Yeah, the karma has dissolved.
I don't know if it would work like that, especially with podcasts, because it's such a funny genre. But I will say this. There's going to come a point where the only listeners we still have are like our friends, like Fran Leibowitz, and our regulars, like the 100,000 we get in 2023.
Yeah.
Not the 100,000 that we'll never get in 2043, in 2053. You know what I mean? It's not gonna be those generation of people. It's
there's not gonna be like Gen Alpha or whatever they are.
Be the old millennials and watching Frasier. But even still, then we're gonna be like, Frasier. What is this new like VR podcast? I can't find it anymore.
Yeah.
And they're gonna stop listening. It's gonna be fine. But it will probably come together for like, occasional. But honestly, man, I've always looked forward to a fucking retirement. Even though podcasting is like a way to retire in a way.
Sure.
But like a retirement from like all tasks pretty much.
Yeah.
Like not even messing with Adobe or putting on film. Just sure. I can literally just like go sit on the lawn with like Hagrid the Fourth and like read
Hagrid the Fourth.
read Othello and just like be cool with the world. You know? I don't know. I don't know. How do you see it?
See what? My retirement?
The future of the pod. Do you think it'd end?
Sure. Yeah. I think like, let's build it up. We're going to get on top and then close it out when it's still hot, you know?
Go out on top. Of course, that could be a while, though. You know, we'd be our fucking dad's age by the time. You know?
Yeah, but it is funny. Like now you got me thinking like generationally, right? Because like with this pod, okay, like Gen Z probably not gonna listen to it. I don't know. I don't know it's probably our friends, like, you know, everyone probably in their 30s about our age, and then maybe some family members,
maybe
you know,
some Xers,
boomers, family members, whatever,
some Gen Xers.
But like there is a, you know, it's just a stylistic difference. And now I'm thinking of Flowers Moon, where like, okay, Scorsese's like 100 years old.
Right.
And I think when you get these dudes, these like Hollywood guys who are like in their 80s, who try to be like, you know, down with the struggle and like, you know, and who are like, oh yeah, we totally get like what millennials or Gen Z, what our value system
or
is.
What the Osage went through.
Yeah. It always like kind of like
ago.
Falls flat. Like I remember watching Marlowe. Did you see that one? Liam Neeson plays Philip Marlowe.
Oh, I never saw it all because you told me not to watch it.
Yeah, it wasn't great. It wasn't great, to be honest. But I remember like similarly, there's like a scene where you have like the hyper racist dude, and then like the because it's, you know, it's filmed as if it was the 40s, and you have the like very overtly racist guy, and then his like driver, this black dude, you know, kills him with a shotgun towards the end of the movie, and everyone like, yay, cheers, right? Killed the racist. Right. But it still felt sort of just like canned or something. It was like, man, you like just this like old dude making this like crappy Philip Marlowe movie, just like went for like the cheap cheer moment, you know. It's like it didn't feel genuine, you know. It felt like
canned.
So exactly, like, so I don't know, maybe there's like a generational thing too, where it's like these older directors and writers are trying to tap into the ethos and pathos of of I don't know, young people's narrative right now, and then it just sort of like feels stunted, you know. Right. Yeah.
And also I think, you know, there is gonna come a time when me and you are 80 years old, 70s, freaking 180 like Scorsese.
11
and the show's not gonna be good anymore.
Well, yeah.
You know, like people aren't gonna want to hear us anymore. It's like, dude, you guys are so old. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like Joe Biden's, you know, just like, oh, you know, movie. Just like, all right, Ben Winters, you got your PhD fucking like 60 years ago. You're so out of touch. Like you have 2 feet in the grave.
But
like,
that comes from clinging, though, man.
Your life, enjoy your life. You know?
Yeah, but see, I'm always reluctant around these generational conversations, because I think that this sort of like, there is generational segregation, right? Where it's like, you know, fucking old people belong in nursing homes. Fuck them. They don't have any wisdom to share. They're just like, you know, what? They're boring. They're stuffy. They don't get it.
Give yourself a little bit closer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, which is like, I feel like we're actually cutting out a lot of wisdom when we do cut out older generations, right? So I think there's something weird too about like, I don't want to be like, okay, Martin Scorsese, he's old, so we don't want him anymore, right? But I also want to be like, Martin, stop trying to be the voice of the younger generation. Like yes, it's not your shit, man. We want authenticity. Yes. We want you to do what you do, and we want to you know, bask in your wisdom, and that's great, you know. So like, being of the age that you are and owning that chapter, not being 80 trying to, you know, speak to, you know, 30-year-olds or something. I don't know. Maybe he wasn't doing that though. I don't know.
I think you're exactly right. It's about being inauthentic.
Yeah, it's just authenticity, you know.
I don't know if it's just that though, because his last movie that he made with Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci was in it back, and like Pacino,
The Irishman.
The Irishman,
yeah. I didn't see that.
All the classics were in it, you know.
Right.
it fell flat for most
flat?
people.
Yeah.
You know, I thought it was okay, but like,
Yeah.
listen, they were like, really, it was like Indiana Jones, just like comical,
Oh, God, yeah.
like Robert De Niro beating up these middle-aged like mobster dudes in the street.
Yeah.
The guy's 90 years old. Like,
Yeah.
I don't care how much CGI you use, it just doesn't work anymore. And then like, because you can CGI him look younger, but the body still moves like it's 90.
Still,
so
it's not
like
great.
he's still waddling, you know, and almost fell on the curb and like,
Yeah.
and beyond that, you know,
Yeah.
it just wasn't there, like really anymore.
It's like, bro, be 80, and that's the thing,
right?
right? It's like we're, and even just people generally, I feel like we're constantly trying to like
Be 80. I love
be
that.
other things than what we are. Where it's like, bro, you're just be what you are, and that's cool, and we're gonna love it. You don't need
like
to.
You're saying, the movie I would have wanted to see was like a really like warm and wholesome like slapstick like comedy, not slapstick but like romantic comedy about a mobster in an old age home who like falls in love with some chick that,
it'd probably be great,
you know what I mean? Maybe some drama goes down in there, like there's
and then
some,
leave the Osage story, and again, this isn't an argument
leave
where
the
it's like,
Osage
you know, don't
to,
tell
like,
that story or something,
a young
but it's like
female Native American
exactly,
director,
bro, who's gonna
and
tell
writer,
it from Molly's eyes or literally anyone else's eyes, not Leo's.
Dude, I went to this fucking, now I'm mad. I went to Chicago at this, you know, on this Haku, like Hispanic conference for this big old thing, you know, and Apple executives, some Apple executives that want to do like Hispanic institutions, you know, they're like, we're going to fine and dine you in Chicago. We like show up and there's like 14 people there and like Apple executives and stuff. And still like most of the table was white.
Right.
And like one of the and like, you know, the other like a big quarter was like black too, and it was like this one, which is fine and all, whatever, you know, join the cause. But this the one girl from Brooklyn, a teacher, Chicana girl, Latina girl, she's a fucking badass, like old lady friend, you know, Lopezowitz. She
Lopezowitz.
She was like, you know, don't like be offended, but why are you all here? Like, why are you here? Because for years, the problem is, for hundreds of years, is all the money that gets sent through the federal government to colleges, to corporations, whatever, it goes to white people to save the brown people. It goes to another race to say how the money should be used to save you. So yet again, it's like, oh, well, thank you for budgeting this money for us. It's like there should be a table of Osage. There should be a table of Hispanic professors that get beaten down and are very smart, and we can take care of ourselves. You know, let us tell our own fucking story.
I like that. Beautiful. Let us tell our own story. That's literally all it is, right? It's like people want to tell their own stories. Like, and you said the money thing, the money getting essentially filtered through elites, right? And that has historical precedence, and that's in the Killers of the Flower Moon too. So again, there's pros and cons to that movie for sure, but where Molly's character has to go, this is true, historically true. She had to go to like the bank to request her money. It was her money, their money, you know? And request their money from like these white bank owners in Oklahoma who were like, then asking them, well, what are you using the money for? And then we're trying to like advise them. And keeping track of what they're spending it on and everything, right? So it still is going through this filter. So even though they were, you know, very wealthy from the oil money, that oil money was nonetheless being filtered through this elite class.
Like, sure, we'll give you money, but you need white banker men to tell you how to spend it. Because you're too stupid. You brown people are too stupid to like,
you don't get it.
Figure out how to like make your own infrastructure in a college or like come up with some, you know, a lesson plan. Fuck you. So you take all our money and go to Chicago and fucking, you know, don't even give us the time of day. And you get the fucking money, you know, and we're over here making $49,000 a year struggling. You know?
And that's a big argument too. When you look at like government programs and stuff like that, where it's like, well, why don't you just take that money and give it to people, because people know what they need more than, you know, this outside external agency knows what they need, right? And then there's, you know, I think that's one of the defining features of America and American government and power and all of that is a deep distrust of human beings, of individuals, right? Where it's like, there's this suspicion that if I give this person money, right? I mean, this is part of why we didn't get, and, you know, we got like what, $2,000 during the pandemic when no one, you know, was working and stuff like that. Other countries were giving way more money to their residents, you know. And, part of the idea is just like, we can't give money to people because they're going to spend it on drugs. They're going to spend it on booze and partying. They're going to spend it on porn and TV. Like, you know, there's this weird, like deep distrust of individuals and this assumption that we're not adults and can't take care of ourselves. And, you know, I'm not an economist. Who knows? Maybe that is true. I don't know. But I also assume, just looking at my own life, if I got, or actually the money I did get from the fucking pandemic, I paid off some loans with, you know what I mean? It's like, I did a very responsible thing with that money. I'm sure a lot of, exactly. A lot of people just like fed their kids, paid rent, paid off some loans, you know, it's like, what the hell, man, you know?
But yet they give Tom Brady like $8 million because of his fake business that he runs.
Well, he's trustworthy.
Tom fucking Brady. Yeah. Well, that's because it's Tom Brady and it's not Tom.
We know him. It's cool. You know, like it's,
Tom Archuleta, and he wouldn't have gotten shit. You know
right.
And that's where the fucking fucked up racism still exists. And I agree that strides have been made, clearly.
Well, yeah, duh, we're not like fucking...
But what's scary is the racism that occurs now is almost unseen. It's felt.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And you know it. Like, I had to tell HR one time, just like, I know what's happening here. I've seen it before. I've read it before, and I felt it before.
Yeah.
So you better fucking like end this meeting fast before things get really bad for you all. You know?
Yeah.
Racism, man.
Yeah. The more subtle shit. Yeah.
Subjective racism. It's wild.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you feel, in your experience, is that something that, however many years down the road, you know, we'll look back on and be like, oh, dude, that shit doesn't even exist. The subtle, you know, looking at someone, you know, all that sort of shit. Like, is that on its way out, or is that the kind of stuff that's just gonna, like, we're human beings, you know, it's just unfortunately part of human nature, fear of the other, that's going to be around forever?
Smell it.
In your experience.
You know, I don't... Shut it down. No, I think that it's gonna last for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
That being said, not forever. I think we're coming to this weird technological space. And like the new generation, like it's going Star Trek. Like, we're not even like, I don't think in 150 years anybody's gonna be identifying as male or female or whatever the hell.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think anybody's really going to be identifying as, oh, you're a Chicano, or like you're a pure blood Osage, or, you know, you're a pure blood white dude. Like, there ain't going to be no more anymore.
Yeah,
like
sure.
Everything is like really blended, and you know what I'm saying?
Well, that's already the case. No,
I feel like we're moving to an identification that is without categories. It's more of an individual, like, you know, back to like experience more than a definition.
Yeah. No, it does. But do you think we already, I don't know, there's these weird, like, sort of like realms of actuality, and then realms of imaginary realms, and then the imaginary that becomes real. So I remember Scarlett saying during one of our grad classes with her, she said how, like, okay, racism or race doesn't actually, like, biologically exist, right? It's all a construct. Right. So it's imaginary. It's not real. But then this imaginary thing has deeply, deeply real consequences, right? Yeah. And then, you know, if you look at your own sort of genetic history, we talked on the pod once about DNA tests and stuff like that. You're fucking everything. You're from everywhere, right? But then, you know, if I don't know, just like, look here, I'm like, oh, Chicano dude from New Mexico. But then if you peel back the layers, you're like, no, this dude's fucking Scottish, English, King Arthur-esque motherfucker. Like totally. Basque, all of these
Mongolian
layers, right? So, or me, right? Like, pretty solidly Irish and Italian, right? Family came here 100 years ago. And the idea of whiteness, just like, when my family were in Europe, there's like, they weren't white. I'm not trying to make the argument that I'm not white or whatever, any of that, but my Italian side were these fucking,
you're making the point of how ridiculous racism is, you know?
Just like the idea of race itself is like,
it's a construct.
So it feels like
not real.
Yeah, so the reality, exactly. So the reality is that we're already in this sort of like deeply fluid space where everyone is kind of everything, but then for some reason there's just like this part of our minds or consciousness or whatever it is that wants to categorize, that wants to be like, I know what you are, you know, and now I know what to expect because I know what you are, you know? When the reality is like, no, you have no fucking idea what that person's background is at all, almost, you know?
Which I feel, again, I feel like we're going to find different reasons to like, I don't know, to criticize each other. And, you know, I don't know if it's necessarily going to be race in 250 years.
Right. Yeah. There's always something, right?
You know what I mean? It might be like species. You know, just like, well, he's not fucking human, you know. This guy's from Zoltar, you know.
Fucking dude's from Zoltar, man. Fucking Zoltar. Don't talk to him. Don't talk to him,
man. Don't give him a loan. The guys are like, hey, what? Like, I have 800 credit. You know, freaking.
Well, that's galacticism, right? We're all inclusive, man. Like the aliens, everyone.
Right. It all goes back to
the
new future religion, which we decided it was going to be. You know, it was like, you know, Judaism, Christianity, Buddhism back then, and then
Galacticism, baby,
Muslim, and you know, now Galacticism. It's crazy. It's the religion of the future.
It is. Join us.
We'll be building observatories around the world. Where should the first one be built?
The first observatory church temple?
Yeah,
that'd be sick, bro, if our temples were observatories.
Exactly, yeah.
Where should the first one be built? Are you thinking like on Earth or like in the galaxy?
Well, there's already multiple built out in the galaxy, so we just got to channel with them, you know.
Yeah. Let's go to Jupiter. It's supposed to have a couple of moons that are pretty livable.
Jupiter would be good. Jupiter would be good.
Yeah.
We should connect our first like Earth observatory in like, you know, White Rock, New Mexico or something.
I feel like it'd be in New Mexico. This seems like the kind of place to start a religion.
There's a place it's a weird ass place to take like a lot of astronomers with their, you know, telescopes, like to go to this campsite. And they have a bunch of pads. White Rock, New Mexico. That's cool. Where the first observatory is going to be.
Bro, and honestly, if we just like went up to go up to Taos and like
followers.
We just need to get followers, which won't be hard because it's like we just need to like look cool, because most like the, you know, it's like the people who the JWs, whoever, who are like on the side of the road handing out Bibles and shit, it's like those dudes look like freaking nerds, but they're still getting so many followers. It's like, bro, we look pretty cool. We'll get it. Oh my God, come on. Like, dude, we'll get so many followers.
It's going to be,
we have this like weird, like
the Beatles. Bigger than Jesus for sure.
We're going to get some followers, man. We're going to start Galacticism.
We got to write that Bible. We're writing it. The pod is writing it.
Yeah, pretty much. The manifesto.
But this is the last thing I really wanted to talk about on this pod today is the crazy 54 books of the Bible that aren't included in the canon, you know. And I've been watching like the History Channel docuseries and reading about it a little bit, you know, on the library website. And I have them actually now in my Amazon cart. So just got to press order on those babies.
Nice.
But let me just tell you quickly about, not quickly, but about some of the ones I found to be like pretty interesting, right?
Yeah.
So Enoch should be part of the Galacticism Bible. Right?
I've heard of that one. There's a painter in Albuquerque, Sonia something, who's part of like the Mothership group down there.
Channeling Enoch.
Yeah, bro. She's like this Christian chick, but she's like psychedelic, like paintings and stuff. And it's like all these crazy ass paintings of fucking stories from the book of Enoch of all these just fucking angels with like 1,000 eyes ripping their chests open, like weird shit, man.
She's a Christian mystic.
Yeah. She's a galacticist.
Millennial galacticist. Yeah, Enoch. So he was mentioned in the Bible as living 300 years before the flood.
Nice.
And that's all that was really mentioned about him, right? But the fucking his actual books, there's 3 of them that were
hell yeah
in the Bible for a long time.
See, that's tight. That's
out.
like fan fiction or something that goes into like the side
the time
character
traveler
and,
guy that was like the ancient, mystic who was 350 years old before the flood.
So what's up with Enoch? What goes on with him?
So they think it was taken out because he gets really into the giants, and they called them watchers that God sent, and they ended up having sex with the women.
The Watchers did.
Whoa. And they taught them war, how to use weapons, business, and how to use makeup.
Oh, so the Watchers fucking suck. They're
or they're awesome. They taught them how to protect themselves and blah, blah, blah. Anyways.
Wait, was it more like protection or like waging war?
For Enoch, it was terrible. They're having sex with them and corrupting them,
Yeah.
And so their kids were the Nephilim, right?
Yeah.
And God had to destroy the earth because the Nephilim, return visit, me and Dion's movie coming out in about 10 years, starring Ethan Hawke. So that's wild, right? He really gets into them, like just all kinds of crazy stories.
Yeah.
But what's also wild is that he's one of the only people that went to heaven, this special place that a lot of the scriptures talk about.
Yeah.
He goes to heaven and he talks about, dude, it's like a paradiso. He talks about the different levels of heaven that you have to go through and how you get through them and blah, blah, blah. So later in the Gospel of Mary, this same place that Enoch talks about is corroborated in Mary's Gospel, which there's no way those 2 writers could have known each other sort of thing.
Sure.
That's pretty wild. Enoch's wild.
Yeah.
And then another one was Peter, the freaking guy who starts Catholicism, Apostle Peter.
Yeah.
That fucking dude was wild, man.
Oh, sure.
So there was a bunch of revelations, right? There weren't just a lot of gospels. There's a bunch of revelations too. And John wrote the only revelation that made it. And they wanted to keep it out because it's fucking bizarre.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So Peter's revelation, the actual transcription is apocalypse, right? John's apocalypse, the apocalypse of John, the apocalypse of Mark.
Yeah.
So there's an apocalypse of Peter.
Yeah.
And it's fucking crazy, dude. He gets into now Dante's Inferno. He goes into hell.
Yeah.
And he sees freaking guys like, Leonardo DiCaprio freaking tied up by their tongues, twisting.
Oh, God.
And he sees trifling women, wanton women, hung up by the braids of their hair that they use to seduce men.
Yeah.
And they're fucking roasting over a fire. And all of them are saying, we didn't know it'd come to this, God. And God didn't give a shit, fucking burning them alive. Crazy
so
freaking
archaic,
parties and stuff, like demon parties, And then his gospel, the Gospel of Peter, there's a scene where Jesus, freaking psychedelic, man, LSD, gets off of the cross and starts talking to the cross. And the cross walks towards him, a walking, talking cross.
Fuck? Yeah.
And Jesus is like, did you freaking do the work of the Lord? And the cross is like, I did, look. And he opens his arms covered in blood and shit. Freaking wild, man. wild. And just some other like small hitters, like Gospel of Mark.
Small hitters.
The ending scene where he dies and he's talking to the two dudes.
Yeah.
While he goes and talks to Mark, somebody like taps one of the apostles on the shoulder, and it's Jesus.
Yeah.
And he's like, see that tree over there? That guy like hanging on a tree, like way far from the crucifixion. He's like, that's me over there. Like, that's not me up there on the cross. So like that really questions the whole canon, you know, and whether or not, but it also has like this interesting teaching moment too, you know, that these theologians dissected in this really cool way, but you know.
Yeah.
And then of course the Gospel of Mary was taken out. She's going to be one of the main apostles. And then she was actually the successor to Jesus. And then, you know, my favorite, the Gospel of Judas. I always knew he was fucking... Jesus told him, dude, you have to do this. I have to die. You have to sell me out. Yeah. He would have never done it for a few shillings, you know?
Right. But wasn't Judas like the most loved or something like that? Exactly. Right. Like,
he did it because Jesus told him to do it. And he's going to have a special place in heaven despite not wanting to do it.
Right.
So.
Man, that's wild. Oh, I gotta add something, but I lost it. That's a lot to absorb.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
And then there's like these weird books too that are called like the Song of Freedom or something like that, or like and they're not gospels or anything. They were just books in the Bible.
Yeah.
You know, and one of them has a different Genesis story.
Oh, cool.
And I
love creation stories. They're so fascinating. Cool. Yeah.
And like in this one, Eve tells God, dude, I was fucking yo, bro, I was fucking seduced and like and tricked by the snake. Like, it wasn't me, man. I'm telling you, that freaking snake, you know. They didn't want that in there, the priests. And then freaking they end up having like mad kids. Like, they name like 60 children, not just Cain and Abel. And freaking, you know, it like goes into their whole entire lineage and stuff like that. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Do you think that, okay, God as a character in the Bible matures?
Okay.
Right? There's character development, which is kind of odd to think about, you know, but from beginning Old Testament to end New Testament, it's the same God, but very different God, right? I mean, the Old Testament is fire and brimstone, you know, punish everyone, all that, right?
Enoch, tripping balls.
Yeah, crazy shit. And then New Testament God is compassion, love thy neighbor, right? All that. I'll send you my son as a sacrifice. I mean, you know, much more love and compassion there. Do you think, if there's a God, or even if just life force itself, right? Let's call it that, universe, life force, just the human collective conscious even. Is there a maturation process that's going on here?
I don't think so.
No? Because even look at, Killer's Moon, man.
Maybe on maybe on the macro scale that you're saying, or like on the other scale is like, you know, sort of on the civilization.
Yeah, or even take it away from God. Is humanity maturing as a collective?
God matured.
Okay, what about humanity? Do you think humanity is maturing as a collective? Are we getting better? I mean, you know, I know it feels like a hot moment. There's a lot of wars going on, etc.
Going back to what we were saying, I think there has been progress made. You know, this isn't, you know, the way things used to be.
The KKK isn't doing marches in the Santa Fe Plaza, right?
Yeah, and like, you know, 100, you know, and a lot of like Native American girls still go missing. It's pretty sad. And
yeah, it's terrifying.
Running away from the cops and stuff like that. But again, it's different. It's an awareness. You know, thousands of CEOs that were hired last year were, you know, minority women or whatever.
Right.
You know? So like, yes, there has been a maturation process, you know.
Yeah.
And relating it to God though would be pretty wild, because then we would need something else to mature us, because it was actually Jesus who matured the Bible. God was like, I guess, you know, and like, I'll give you my son, fucking to die.
Yeah.
It kill, you know, freaking say, well, I guess I'm gonna sacrifice my child. Jeez, guy's crazy.
Yeah.
But he never actually changes his stance. It's Jesus, and Jesus actually had to kind of like fight with him, and Jesus didn't really like the original Testament. And then the only
Jesus is a millennial, bro. He's
Jesus
like,
full millennial,
boomer,
full metro.
He's a metro millennial.
Freaking fuck you, Dad.
Fuck you, Dad, man. Come on.
And
now.
the only talk we do get of God in the New Testament is in Revelations when he's fucking murdering everybody yet again.
Yeah.
Cool. Trumpets from the sky and freaking demons and snakes and dragons. Cool, man.
Yeah, he's a pretty far out guy. He's like very, Dante's Inferno carnival ride or something, you know, just like Satan with a, you know, pitchfork fucking poking you in the ass.
If
like
there was a hell and I went to it, I'd be so mad. I'd make it hell for them.
Yeah.
I'd be like, we need to get this guy out of here. I'd be complaining the
He's
whole
too
time.
much, man.
Like, it's so fucking hot in here, Pele. Turn on the goddamn. There's no air conditioning. Oh, shut
Fuck you,
There's
bro.
air conditioning. Take me down, man. My tongue hurts, man.
Yeah, that would suck.
Of course, they're all just tropes and stories, and that's why I find it interesting, the Enoch and the Gnostic Bible and all this stuff, is because it's all just canon. It's literally like,
I mean, it's deeply creative, right?
Other books Tolkien wrote,
yeah,
you know,
exactly,
about Lord of the Rings, just like, oh shit, a book about Bilbo Baggins' freaking brother or something.
Yeah, the Silmarillion Part 4 or something. Like, oh shit, like we found
like
it in this Chester drawer in his attic, you know?
The first college he went to, there's like a book he was writing, never told anybody about. We'd be stoked, you know?
Right. Yeah, and it's deeply creative. I mean, whoever was writing these books, whether their names correlated with, you know, some dude named Enoch actually wrote this or not, it doesn't matter. Whoever did write it could have been multiple people, who knows? But whoever wrote it, deeply creative, right? I mean, it's definitely, these people were artists and creative visionaries.
Right.
For sure, who were just fucking out in the desert or something, freaking out, writing down these weird stories, and then maybe sharing them with their friends and be like, oh man, just check this out, the shit's wild, you know? They didn't have movies. They couldn't go see Scorsese geriatric films. They had to like tell each other stories, and they came up with some weird shit, you know?
Like these crazy oral traditions.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of the stories of the Bible are old Buddhist stories, or old, you know, stories from other cultures that were, you know, just adapted, names were changed, and, you know, boom, it's just like a continuation, just like, you know, we've seen the same comedy over and over again. We've seen, you know, these stories weren't necessarily new. They're added on to in a weird time when nobody really wrote.
Yeah.
You know, just like these weird, like, religious elites, and, you know, creative and wild that it stood the test of time all this time, you know?
Yeah.
What's most wild is that people believe it for fact and don't see it as just like this really interesting, creative book. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of metaphorical truth in it, right?
Sure.
I mean, but any story, right? I mean, I could read a story, I don't know, written by like Neil Gaiman or some shit, and be like, wow, that story was really allegorical and taught me a lot about life. You know, it's kind of the same thing, just like a oftly repeated story tradition.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Or not. Maybe there's something deeper. Who knows?
Who knows? You know,
who knows?
We don't know.
Yeah.
That's what I don't like about religions, is they always have the answers, you know.
Well,
I like to be on the side of the fence where we just don't know. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't want to wake up in hell. You know, that's for sure.
Yeah,
just
that would suck. Yeah.
Die and wake up and I'm in the Violet Crown watching Killers of the Flowers Moon just started.
Right.
Over and over again. Just like, oh, this movie's the worst.
Yeah.
This movie's the worst. This movie's the worst.
It's vaguely interesting.
This movie's so vaguely interesting. Oh my God, get me out of this theater. Yeah. But But yeah, I don't know, all that Bible history and stuff. It's gonna come in handy when we're writing the Galactic Bible.
The
Galactic text.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. There was I heard this book that was saying that these Russian media people were pretty much taking their cue from right-wing media in the U.S. In order to, I don't know, thought control their people, essentially, right? So, you gotta learn from the best. So it's like, if we want to start a religion, let's go study the people who have started religions,
Right.
Joseph Campbell and shit. Or not Joseph Campbell. That's the Hero's Journey guy. Who's the Mormon guy?
Smith.
Yeah, Joseph Smith. Yeah.
And
what's the Jehovah's Witness guy?
The first one was Rutherford.
That's right. Yeah.
And then who was the Scientology guy? They called him like JR or QR or something.
Oh fuck, yeah. I forgot the guy's name.
We salute you, freaking Tom Cruise.
So nuts.
And they came on the ships and they're going to dropped into a volcano. And, man, I fell into a Scientology hole there freaking for a little while. Remember that? I was just like,
you became a Scientologist for a while. Yeah.
This guy's playing like musical chairs, and he was like, yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. Religions just fascinate me. Like, I would never join one. It's fascinating, like the fake shit. That's mystical, like magical, all that stuff is so interesting to me. Just like whether it's like aliens or
and I think that's part of it too. It just like adds like a level of fantasy to the world, and I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing even, right. I mean, to engage in a ritual practice. People have been doing that for the entire existence, for the 100,000 years that human beings have been around. We have had these deeply ritualistic and symbolic practices,
right.
And if anything, like atheism, like that's new shit. There's been no other culture or society that was largely atheist, to my knowledge. Who knows? And I think it just adds something to, even if it is all play pretend, it's a fun pretend game to play, within reason. If it's not, persecuting other people, all that shit, right?
Sure.
But you're fucking indoctrinating everyone.
Your
crazy
wife's
shit.
not gonna like have to go live with brother Hedda now or like brother John,
Right.
I mean, it's fun. It's good. But wars and shit, all this stuff that gets caused over it's crazy. Galacticism's gonna end all that, of course.
That's gonna be Galacticism's gonna be the it's gonna be the religion that ends all the war and everything else.
Right. The be all end all.
Yeah. Everything you're looking for is gonna be satisfied by Galacticism.
Right.
Yeah. Do you feel in your life that something is missing? Do you feel like something's just like vaguely off? There's something you've always been looking for, always craving that you never quite found. Join us. Galacticism.
Do you feel like you just like need to put on a jacket? Galacticism.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you need to just like be in a museum and be wowed and moved? Galacticism.
Do you feel like you have this deeper potential that something in your life is not being met, that you actually just have this potential to be doing so much more? Galacticism.
Do you feel like, you're just losing your grip on your sexuality, romantic lifestyle, your partner, finding a partner?
Galacticism, baby.
Yeah.
All right, one more.
All right.
Society really fucked up right now. We don't know what's coming. Yeah. It's getting scary out there.
It is.
Pandemics, wars, economic uncertainty, political upheaval. The one thing you can rely on.
Only one.
The only one thing you can rely on. Come join us. Come join us, listeners. Galacticism.
On behalf of the Jareds, thank you for listening. Follow, rate and tell your friends about the show. The Muchachos will be back next week, and always remember, you can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the end. Buenos noches.